Okay, there's 5 stages of sleep that are differentiated by the types of wave patterns that occur that are detected by the EEG. I'm going to walk you all through the stages. The first one is stage 1, drowsy sleep, myoclonic jerks or sudden muscle movements. You can detect this if you're lying next to somebody who's falling asleep. You can feel the slight ticks or jerks or twitches in their cheek or their arm or their leg, which indicates they're moving into stage 1 sleep. You can easily be woken out of stage 1 because you're not that far beneath the surface. Some of the EEG is characterized by slow, high amp theta waves at this point. Stage 2, decreased muscle activity, no conscious awareness of environment. So you're much further asleep. In other words, it's a little more difficult to be woken out of stage 2. You can, but a little more difficult than 1. Theta waves are interspersed with sleep spindles that show up during stage 2. That indicates stage 2 sleep. It's considered light sleep. People often report not having been asleep at all if they wake up from stage 1 or 2. So I was telling my class I experience if I'm watching Netflix late at night and I'm watching a series, I will all of a sudden kind of blink my eyes and I skip from one episode to like episode 3 or 4, and I'm like, what happened? I didn't have any sense of time passing. I was asleep. I didn't realize it though, and I would have claimed that I wasn't asleep. So stage 1 and 2, you can often have those experiences. 3 and 4, these are your deeper sleep stages characterized by delta waves, and sometimes we call this delta sleep, high amplitude brain waves. Bedwetting, sleepwalking, sleep talking can occur because your muscles function. You can actually, if you were to have a dream during this time, stage 3 and 4, which is not typical. Usually we do all our dreaming time in REM sleep. But if you were to have a dream or have that type of experience, you could sleepwalk. You could, kind of act out your dream in essence. Um, if you look at after stage 4, we go back up, and we'll talk about how we cycle through in a minute. But REM, sometimes we refer to stage 5, but REM sleep is when we do our dreaming, rapid eye movement, hence the eyes there. Your eyes dart about under your eyelids in different, very quickly, typically. And you can notice this in people too if you watch. That's kind of creepy. But if you watch somebody sleep, you can see when they go into REM, their eyes darting about underneath their eyelids. Active stage during which dreaming occurs, fast activity. This looks like it's kind of like you're in an awake state. Your brain waves are very similar to what goes on when you're awake, especially during a relaxing, peaceful waking moment. They look very similar to that. Likely plays a role in memory. Listen, the best guess we have as to why you dream is to better solidify those memories, to better integrate memory into your long-term memory bank. So it's really important to work REM sleep to get 2 to 3 cycles, and 2 to 3 chunks of that will really improve memory the next day. I used to pull all-nighters in college. It was a big mistake, y'all, because just getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep would make a big difference because it would allow me to go into REM where those memories do get further cemented. So if I'm studying for exam late at night, and I got an 8 o'clock midterm or final, get at least a couple hours because your recall will be so much better than if you pull an all-nighter, go in and try to take the exam. It might be quite difficult. One sleep cycle, 5 stages of sleep, about 90 to 100 minutes to complete it, and then it reoccurs several times a night. The REM it gets progressively longer. You can see here, we make our way into stage 1, myoclonic jerks, I'm ticking here, 2, and then we're going into our delta sleep, 3 and 4, and we stay here for a while because this needs to be met first. Your non-REM sleep seems to be more important. In fact, in sleep studies where they've kept people sleep deprived for 24, 48 hours, they spend more time in delta sleep than they do, in the lighter stages up here. They'll actually spend longer down here if they're sleep deprived before they come up and do REM. But this is a typical person who's not sleep deprived, getting 8 hours of sleep. They'll go down, spend some delta time, they'll come up, and look, you're just below the surface here, and this is where you dream. You get about 15, 20 minutes maybe, and then once that's complete, we go back down into deeper delta sleep. Spend some time there, come back up, and then we get more. This REM is actually longer than the first one, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes here. Go back down, stage 3 and 4, delta sleep, come back up, and we're dreaming, rapid eye movement, and a big chunk here. Then we don't go as deep. Look, we go down to just the edge of stage 3, and for this person, they wake up, go back asleep, fall back asleep, go into, and they don't go deep again because you're on your last couple hours. You got sufficient sleep. You got plenty of non-REM time down here. You don't need it anymore. And you spend a big chunk right here, an hour, hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half REM. And then if you continued this, y'all, you'd wake up, you'd come out here, and that would give you a good chance of remembering this. Listen, everybody dreams, unless there might be head trauma or damage or issues. Everybody dreams. It's just everybody does not remember their dreams. But if you were to be woken up right here, right here, right here, and right here, chances are you would remember something. Even if you've never remembered a dream in your lifetime, you do dream, you're just unaware of it, or you don't have memory recall of those dreams. Lifespan, you can see, look, a baby, newborn, 1 to 15 days. Look at this. Sleeping about 16 hours a day. Look how much of that is devoted to dreaming. Almost half of it is devoted to dreaming. So babies are dreaming frequently. And then it kind of makes its way down. By the time you get to be 10 years old, it's come down quite a bit. Your total sleep time is around 10 hours. And just this amount, just a couple hours here is devoted to dreaming. And it kind of tapers off through the lifespan. By the age of 40, 70, it hasn't decreased overall the number of hours you need. And REM kind of stays the same from about age, well, look around here, 15 or so, all the way through. It diminishes somewhat, but not dramatically. Not dramatically. Want to go to something really quick. Sleep disorders, you guys. I want to talk about this a little bit. Insomnia. I read a study where they said every American at some point in their life will experience insomnia. Now, that could be for a couple nights, a couple weeks, a couple months, or for some of us, it's chronic insomnia, and we consider ourselves insomniacs. So some of the more serious cases of insomnia, researchers are experimenting with light therapy, melatonin supplements, and other ways to alter circadian rhythms. Behavioral changes such as avoiding naps, setting an alarm in the morning can help insomniacs increase their sleep time. It doesn't necessarily address how to fall asleep, which, from what I hear in my work, is a big problem. And I can relate to that personally. Falling asleep over the years has been a difficult task. But there's a lot of help. There are ways to kind of increase your sleep maintenance and set your sleep area up to maximally give you the best chance of falling asleep and not be distracted. There's also cognitive thought blocking techniques, which I highly recommend. You can Google that, and it gives you specific ways to use imagery to kind of alter what's going on within your thinking process, to arrest the development of linking thoughts. That seems to be the key, and that's really worked for me personally. Cognitive thought blocking techniques. Sleepwalking, sleep talking, sleep eating. Yes, people do eat in their sleep, and there have been cases where people have actually cooked meals and at different times throughout the night walked into their kitchen and sat down, had a bowl of cereal, got the milk out, and then went back. A couple hours later, they come back out, another bowl of cereal. They have no memory of this, y'all, because it takes place in stage 3 and 4. So the next morning, they don't recall any of this. They don't have memory of it. Says the specific cause of sleepwalking is not identified, but it's more likely to occur in individuals that are sleep deprived or have been drinking alcohol, or probably with a large meal can also cause that as well. Nightmares and night terrors, y'all, it peaks around 5 to 7 years of age, and it's really common developmentally for kids during this age group, or sometimes 4 to 8, to have night terrors. The best thing to do is soothe them. Try to rub their back or use soothing words, and typically that works. A lot of pediatricians recommend waiting that out, and around 7 or 8 they'll usually phase out of it. Unlike nightmares, they occur during slow wave non-REM sleep. So you don't have muscle paralysis. You can move about. Remember, during REM sleep, you have muscle paralysis. Your body is shut down, so you're unable to move, which puts you in a great place to dream. Sometimes coming out of that can be strange. There's a delayed portion sometimes where the brain's not getting the signal out, where people can wake up, be in a conscious state where they can't move, they can't speak. It's because of the delayed signal, and it's usually pretty quick. It might seem like it's an eternity, and it seems quite frightening. people think they're paralyzed, or but they usually come out of it. I've never experienced this personally. Other people tell me about this a lot. Devil's on your back, witches on your back. I think that comes from our grandparents' terminology for it. But not unusual. The narcolepsy, sudden overpowering urge to sleep. Listen, this is like REM sleep invading you during your waking hours. Emotional states can kind of trigger it, getting excited or getting angry. But there's a quick window of time, and then you're out, and your body is, your muscles are shut down. So you have to get to a place that's you're not going to be a danger. If you're driving, you have to pull over. If you're walking, you have to sit down somewhere. Severe cases of narcolepsy, some people can't drive anymore. There's problems. We sometimes prescribe stimulants for folks with narcolepsy and schedule naps, have them take scheduled naps throughout the day to try to help with that, but no known cure. And a lot of research coming out, I think, will help with that. But if you have a severe case of narcolepsy, it can be very tough. Sleep apnea, very common. Individuals stop breathing, awaken to breathe better. They stop breathing because the windpipe fails to open, and because the brain processes involved in respiration fail to work. CPAP machine is used as a great method to help with sleep apnea, and also maybe the cause behind SIDS. We don't know for sure, but a lot of research coming out of Australia has kind of linked SIDS with sleep apnea, and which is interesting. And hopefully, maybe they'll be able to find out some ways to help with that. I'm going to talk about dreams for a second. Sorry, guys, I'm all over the place here. I'm going to wrap up with talking about dreams. Freud's dreams, he felt like it was unconscious wishes. Freud said, dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. He felt like it was a great way to get in touch with all your repressed beliefs, attitudes, experiences from the past. Manifest content it's the story itself. It's what takes place in your dream, and it represents something it's symbolic rather of a hidden message. And the deeper content, the latent content, could be death, sex, insecurities, etc. So he would link that. He would have you lie on the couch and talk about your dreams and recall them, and then he would provide the symbolic meaning, the latent content. Cognitive theory is almost like thinking extending into your conscious thinking extending into your subconscious realm. Lack of attention to roles of brain structures and activity in dreaming. Listen, cognitive theory suggests that not as meaningful as the Freudian view of dreams, but could probably, things that we're struggling with throughout our daily lives taking place in our dreams, maybe giving us some clues as to what some solutions to our problems might be, or how we can, maybe it's an indicator that we need to pay more attention to relaxation and coping with stress a little bit better. Activation synthesis theory, dreams are a result of synthesis of neural signals, just random firing of brain cells. And there's no meaning in activation synthesis theory. They think it's a process that's going to happen, and then you put images to those neurotransmitters firing. It says, as levels of neurotransmitters rise and fall during stages of sleep, some neural networks are activated and others are shut down. Random neural firing in various areas of the brain leads to dreams that are the brain's attempts to make sense out of the activity. That's what the activation synthesis believes. So the firing in the primary motor and sensory areas of the forebrain might be reflected in the dream of running and feeling wind in your face. Our nervous system is cycling through various activities, and our consciousness is simply along for the ride. Listen, I like to think there's a little bit of meaning in dreams, though. So the cognitive theory, to me, I like that one. I think it helps. Freud's stuff is interesting, and Carl Jung had some great stuff on dream interpretation too, if you ever want to read about it. There's tons of books in the self-help section of your bookstores about interpretation of dream. Listen, your interpretation is probably as good as anybody else's. Nobody really has cornered the market on what dreams mean and whether they're significant or not. Listen, the rest of the chapter, you go into talking about uses of psychoactive drugs, addiction. There's a lot of information, alcohol addiction, and so read up on those things. Be knowledgeable of that. I want you to also look at hypnosis and read about hypnosis, and also meditation. And I don't have time to go into those things, and you guys can read up on a textbook, and I might post another video that kind of looks more closely into meditation and hypnosis, altered states of consciousness, we call them.